Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Wednesday's Paranormal Portal. You're into the Wicked Wednesday tonight, folks. And we've got a deep dive into all the strangeness and fun that you can ever expect to see. Well, that's kind of weird. I got to see something now. So if I type, does it actually show it? Hello. No. Doesn't seem to. But look at this on my screen, Don.
Okay.
You can see the chat line down there. For some reason, it's showing up. But it doesn't actually show it up that I'm chatting here.
Right.
Isn't that bizarre?
Yeah, that's kind of crazy.
Huh. Wow. All right. Well, there you go. Strangeness.
Special ed?
I'm just as special as I know how to be. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is Wednesday night. Thank you all for being here with us as always. And by us, I don't mean me and my many personalities. I mean me and my good friend and co-host, the Big Toe himself, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Don Longbeard.
You know, the guy with the fractured personalities.
Yeah, you're just the nicest bunch of people I know, Don. But anyway,
we are family.
Yeah, absolutely. So Don and I went and Don joined us for the fireworks last night.
Yep, got sandblasted.
We got sandblasted. It was like 40-mile-an-hour gusts. It was pretty freaking insane. It had to have been 30 or 40 miles an hour.
Yeah, it had to be more than the 15 I reported. But then again, what the hell do I know?
My weather app said, expect 9-mile-an-hour gusts. I was like,
whatever.
Yeah, right.
That was like when it first started.
So we're sitting on a beach and right by the harbor area there when the fireworks are launched just across the way. And these winds are coming so hard. They're picking up sand.
Yep.
And I'm telling you, my complexion is so nice now.
He got exfoliated.
I got all kinds of exfoliated. I'm telling you. It was like, oh.
He feels like a brand new pod person.
I definitely am. It's like I've molted or something. It's crazy. But it was a lot of fun last night. And today, I've been going through hours and hours and hours of video. and digging through the Montville videos and stuff. And yeah, it was some pretty incredible stuff. I can't wait to put that into a video form for you. Remember, if you're a member of the channel, you'll get early access to that when they're out. So when is that, Brent?
When they're out.
When they're out. But anyway, I'm doing the best I can. I'm just juggling all the time. I'm juggling more things. So I'm doing the best I know how, but
He's juggling more than 2 balls.
yeah, dude, I'm telling you what, I've got, I can't even go into that. I can't even, you almost lured me in, Don. You almost sucked me into the gutter already.
I was like,
Usually takes me a good hour to get there, but
fish on.
yeah, no kidding. But anyway, we got a lot of things to get to. Of course, we're going to get to the news. And after that, we're going to get to Discord question of the week. Special thanks to Chucky Danger again for handling that. He's a
superstar when it comes to that.
Yeah, it's been great. It's just one less thing that I have to keep in my head, and every little bit helps. And I know a lot of you have offered to help out in different ways, and like all of you mods, you guys help out so much, and thank you so much. The mods over on Discord, thank you so much, or admins, I guess they call them there. Every one of you guys has been amazing. And of course, you members, you help out so much. So, and all of you people that show up and hit the likes and subscribed, thank you so much. But, it really means the world, and it's helping out a ton. So every little bit, we get a little closer to raising the bar. Excuse me while I hack up lungs. T-Fetch, how you doing, brother? I saw him during the live investigation at the Montvale.
Yeah,
that was cool.
What's up, T-Fetch? How you doing, bud?
It was good to see him. He's been part of the family for years, actually.
Long time.
Well, now we get him back for a while. But anyway, so we got a lot of that to get to. We're going to get to the Discord question of the week. We're going to get into some oddities and weirdness, as well as the Cryptid Corner to wrap it all up. So I don't know about you guys, but I got a hankering for some news. What do you think, Don?
The news?
It's time for the news.
The news.
The news, ladies and gentlemen. Let's dig into it.
So, hey, Brent, you know what people are the cow did the jumping jacks?
No, I have no idea. Why did the cow do jumping jacks?
They're doing their cow aesthetics.
Oh, I think it ages me every time you tell me one of those. I think I get a little bit older. Can you guys hear those when we're doing that? Because Don always tells me the worst jokes. Did you have that in your pocket this whole time, just waiting for that moment?
What that? The joke?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I've got to come with one.
I think it sucks a little bit more of my life out every time you do it. Okay, they can hear it. They're saying yes. Okay. Portal Mom says yes as well. Okay. Wasn't sure it was beating the music, but God bless that you guys got to share that with me.
Thank you, Rachel. She says that joke was utterly hilarious. Thank you. Someone on the level.
You're getting one too, Rachel. That's it. I'm handing them out like Pez tonight.
Here's your sign.
Here's your sign. Yeah, they're coming out like Pez tonight, folks.
Yep, no doubt.
Listening while researching. What are you researching?
Hey.
Almost like we rehearsed that. It's creepy. I just want to know what we're researching.
Yes,
here.
Chucky, it was very amusing.
Oh God, what is wrong with you people? In the news today, newsflash: bad humor hits the portal. Not that it's ever been good, but
all right. Well, anyhow,
amusing. Oh, you guys are.
So you went through the intro. Let's go ahead and get into.
Yeah, let's get into some news before this gets worse. All right. I've got some news articles pulled up for you guys. We got a bunch of them actually, but we're only going to do a few of them tonight. Then we'll save some for next. So I changed windows here. What did I miss, Don?
Rachel gets it right. Says it behooves us
Oh, God.
to make these puns.
I'm going to time you out, Rachel. I swear to God.
I tell you what, some nights I can get him going.
Yeah. As long as that doesn't equal logging out, that's fine.
Well, yeah.
Sometimes you get them going that way too, Don.
Oh, goodness. Okay.
All right, so let's get into the first report. This one's kind of cool. Actually, it comes from the field of paleontology, folks. And it hails from one of our favorite sites here in the portal, which is for the news. This is the place that I like to go, and it's unexplained-mysteries.com. Please check them out. Please support what they're doing. It's an amazing site. I just think I can't believe whoever this TK Randall is, they're working their tail off all the time, because it's like a one-person show over there, but they're spitting out the articles all the time. So whoever you are, TK Randall, I'm a huge fan. So anyway, let's break it up. Researchers recreate the face of the real-life hobbit of Flores. And this is the Homo floresiensis. Yeah. Yeah. From Indonesia.
Hi, Lewis.
Hi, Lewis. Good to see you. This is apparently the rendition of what they believe the Homo floresiensis looks like. And kind of a cute little bugger.
Looks like Lucy.
Yeah, kind of does, doesn't it? It has those... Yep. The protruding brow and the button nose. Yeah.
And two eyes made out of coal.
Shut up. What the hell is wrong with your brain, dude? What the hell? Did you have lead paint as a child?
Yeah, I don't know. I picked it off the wall with my tongue.
Mom said these are chips.
These are good.
All right, so let's get to it. That was just
Mom, what can I drink with this?
All right.
Just grab some bleach and shut the hell up.
Yeah. All right, so the face, whatever you drink, just grab it from underneath the sink.
Right.
The face of this long-lost human ancestor has been painstakingly recreated from fossil remains using computer software.
It's killing me.
Well, it sounds amazing. Using computer software, well, that's Photoshop, right?
Right.
I mean, that's like Canva or anything. That's computer software. All right. Evidence of the mysterious hobbits of Flores, an island in Indonesia, was first unearthed in a cave back in 2003, a discovery that would go on to become the topic of much controversy and debate. Named Homo floresiensis, the pint-sized hominids, are now believed to be previously undiscovered species of human.
They don't like being called pint-sized.
Yeah, I know. That's just little people. Come on. Which died out somewhere around 50,000 years ago, and I beg to differ. I think they're still around. But now in a bid to bring the ancient inhabitants of Flores back to life, a team of experts has used special software, Canva, to create an approximation of what they might look like. The study combined computer tomography, CT scans of actual skulls with scans of chimpanzees. Really? Where did they get that distinction? To create a full picture of a face because the fossils themselves were incomplete.
Obviously.
We deformed both to adapt them to the structure of the skull, floresiensis, and interpolated the data to get an idea of what the hobbit's face could look like, co-researcher Cicero Moraes told Live Science. The hobbit skull is almost complete, missing small parts in the region of the glabella. Ooh, I hate when you're missing your glabella. What the hell's a glabella,
It's
Don?
the part right between your eyebrows.
Is it?
Apparently so.
How do you know that?
Because you just got to read.
Oh, well, no fair. You sounded really smart for a second. Jeez. The part of the forehead directly between the eyebrows. I was really impressed, dude. I was like, how does Don know what a glabella is? Oh my God.
That's what I do. I drink coffee and know things.
Yeah.
Can't help it.
All right.
I know how to read too.
The nasal bone, which unfortunately it was possible to design them with the help of anatomical deformation. You can check out the final results in the video below. And this is whose channel? I guess it's Homo floresiensis 3D facial approximation. So Let's watch.
Let's do it.
And I guess that's the name of the channel. There's a skull. There's a grid. There's some skin. And there's hair.
Wow.
Done. Okay.
Dun, dun, dun.
Like I said, Canva.
Canva, man.
Photoshop. No, it's cool. I mean, it's fantastic, I guess. But interestingly enough, there's the face. That doesn't look unlike that. You seen that video out of Indonesia where those guys are motorcycling through the I don't know what kind of vegetation is around them, but it's very jungle.
Yeah.
And that little creature kind of shoots out, and one of the guys tips over, and it runs. It doesn't look too much different from that guy, really.
Right.
So,
well, you know what? That could be Batman. You've never seen them both in the same room.
That's true.
Of course, I've never seen either in the same room as me. So yeah.
You could be Batman then, and not even know it, Don.
Can I just pretend to be Bruce Wayne with all of the money?
Yeah.
I don't want to be Bruce Wayne. I just want to pretend with the money.
Well, there you go, folks. You've seen an approximation
Captain Caveman.
of what Homo floresiensis might look like. Don't mind me. I'm just doing a show here.
I'm sorry.
Don's off in his own place.
Was I supposed to?
No, apparently not. All right, so there you go. That's the first article up tonight on the news. And let's get to the next one. And the next one is coming also from... This is one that I really wanted to cover because every year this one surfaces, folks.
Oh, boy.
This one always comes up, and it gets posted all over the place. Like, oh, did you guys see this? This is kind of disclosure. No, it's kind of not. This is from unexplained-mysteries.com. U.S. Forest Service Bigfoot warning turns out to be a hoax. Yeah, it's always been a hoax. The alleged official warning about Bigfoots comes from the high country in Arizona and has been exposed as a prank. Given the complete lack of an official recognition regarding the existence of large hairy hominids roaming the remote forests of the United States, it came as something of surprise. Really? Who was surprised? When a Facebook post claiming to be from the U.S. Forest Service recently made reference to the cryptid in a suspiciously matter-of-fact way. This is not new. This has been around for years.
Right.
Bigfoot warning, the notice read. Attention campers, due to the increased flow of the Kern River, the Bigfoots are coming down from the high country to feed on fish and vegetation at the river's edge. The notice even explained what campers should do if they happen to run into one of these creatures, emphasized that they should avoid running away or yelling at it. As it turns out, however, the notice itself was nothing more than a prank. For one thing, the U.S. Forest Service is never likely to post up such a warning, given it does not recognize Bigfoots as a real creature.
But the Army Corps of Engineers do.
Yeah. For another, the Kern River isn't even in Arizona. Oh, I didn't know that.
There you go.
Being geographically challenged, that's news to me. We believe this was done as a humorous gag, the spokesperson told USA Today. If and when a Sasquatch is sighted by officials, why does it have to be officials, on National Forest System lands, we'll be sure to use the official Forest Service letterhead. All right, well, there you go, folks. So when you see these notices, and I'm not trying to be condescending, it's just one of those that I've...
So next time, just use the official, letterhead. You'll be fine.
Yeah, if you just do the... I mean, look at... This is one of those AI images.
Yeah.
Look at the eyes on that. What the hell is that?
Yeah.
Poor guy must have took a few sticks in there because they don't look like they're there.
Wow.
It's just like folds of flesh where eyeballs should be. Yeah, that's the problem. AI has trouble with some of that stuff. These are the early renditions of it, but the more recent ones are now floating around where people are saying, oh, found in a jar in Kentucky on this homestead. And it's one of the black and white photos of a guy standing next to like a 20-foot Bigfoot.
Right.
And the Bigfoot's using a walking stick as well. And not that they couldn't, but my point is that first that image came out and there was no story. And now all of a sudden there's a narrative like, well, see, here's the story. Well, no. It's just that orgy of evidence thing.
Switch your camera views. They're not seeing it.
Not seeing what?
They're not seeing the news story.
Oh, well, there it is. What did I have it on? Double?
Yeah, you just.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, guys. Guess I.
Oh, there. That was done by AI. There you go.
This is one of the AIs, but there's a ton of AI images coming around, and these Bigfoots. I mean, it would be great if they were real. It really would be. I'm not. I'm obviously anxious to see real visual proof other than Patterson and Giblin and the Freeman footage. I think there's others out there. I think there's several out there that I think could be very well legit, but I think the majority of them is not. And yeah, look at the folds of flesh there. It's just like, where's the eyeballs exactly? Where did they go? Because some of the witnesses that have seen Bigfoot talk about how enormous the eyes are.
Right.
Well, this looks like this is the blind one, I guess. So anyway, that's that. So that warning is not real when you see it. Just let people know, because it's really been around for, I've literally seen it, I think 5 out of 5 years now in a row.
Right.
Every beginning of summer that pops up. So anyway, and they edited enough to make it relevant to where it was allegedly posted, but except within the Kern River, which apparently isn't in Arizona. So they forgot that part, but let's get to the next story, Don, shall we?
The next story.
It's time for the next, and this will be the last one for tonight. Not this one, though. This is one, though, I wanted to read. What is it? Oh, this one. I thought this is. Oh. Be careful when you're at the produce department, folks, because you just never know just how fresh your produce is, and even what's your produce. Well, turns out, from unexplained-mysteries.com, man finds live snake in a bag of broccoli from a supermarket. Ooh, there you go. I don't mind snakes. I've had pet snakes. I think they're great. Not venomous, obviously, but the ones that just can bite, but they don't kill you when they do it. A grandfather...
They just hurt like hell.
Oh, it was in England, Don.
Oh.
A grandfather from Stourbridge, England, made a surprising discovery after buying vegetables from Aldi. Wow, that snake made it a ways, though. We've heard of people finding small frogs and caterpillars inside of bags of salad before.
Yep, I've done it.
But have you really?
Yeah, I found a big old tomato. The big green caterpillar-looking things.
Oh, really?
They're tomato caterpillars. They're huge.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I found it right here and just bought it out of the Safeway here.
Oh. Yep. How long ago?
It was probably about 2 years ago.
Okay. We've heard of people finding, I already read that. 63-year-old Neville Linton had purchased broccoli from a branch of Aldi in the West Midlands and had taken it out of his fridge a few days later when he noticed something inside the bag. Upon closer inspection, it turned out to be a snake. Oof. It was pretty frightening, he said. I'm not good with snakes. Yeah, he probably had a second brown snake on that one.
Yep.
It's lucky I didn't just leave the broccoli out in the kitchen, or it would have been loose in the house, and that would have been a huge risk for us because we have 2 vulnerable people living here. Well, what kind of snake is it? A local zoo later identified the reptile as a ladder snake, a species native to parts of southern Europe that is not venomous but can still offer a nasty bite. We are investigating this isolated incident and have apologized to Mr. Linton that our usual high standards were not met, the supermarket said in a statement. There it is. There's a picture. Should we check it out?
Wow. Yeah.
Let's go to the Liverpool Echo from YouTube and check out their video, because by God, we should know more. Oh, come on. Don't play music through it. I'm going to get a copyright. There it is. Cutting the broccoli. That's just stock image, of course. That's not him. Bought the vegetable from a store. Okay, can we get to the part with the actual... There it is.
There it is, right there. Yeah.
3 days later, he opened it to prepare a meal when he spotted a snake inside the bag.
Wow.
He just snuggled in there. I suppose he left it in the fridge. It was freezing.
Yeah, no doubt.
How big was it? He said it was pretty frightening. I'm not good with snakes. Snakes is coming. There you go. That's just lucky I didn't leave the broccoli out in the kitchen. Loose in the house. Have 2 vulnerable adults. Okay, living there. Okay, yeah, I guess that's all of it, right? He found a snake. Are they going to show footage of the actual snake other than that image, or?
No, I don't think so.
Guy in the shop was pretty frightened too. Did you bring it back for a discount?
Oh.
Yeah, I think you weighed my broccoli wrong.
No doubt.
I think you owe me some money. I didn't ask for the snake. There you go, folks. Be careful when you're checking your produce. Check a little extra. Maybe bag your own. If it's pre-bagged, that might be a red flag.
Right.
Just buy the loose stuff and put it in bags yourself. Maybe you save money that way. I don't know. Do you?
I don't know.
I don't know either. I don't pay attention enough. All right, but there you go. That's it for the news, folks. Don, do you feel like you've learned something today?
No.
No. All right. Well, I hope you guys.
Well, you know what I do know?
Oh God, I'm sure you're going to tell me.
I do know why cows do jumping jacks. So there you go.
Well, there you go. All right, folks. We all know about cows doing jumping jacks now. So, all right, let's get out of here before they kick us out. There you go, ladies and gentlemen, the most trusted news. Hopefully you still trust us, even after what you hear on the show. Hopefully you guys still trust us to bring you some kind of entertainment, because by God, we're sure trying. I'm just looking at the chat. Did we miss anything, Don?
No,
Baby snakes are the most dangerous. Chucky says, well, maybe.
It can be. I like what Elaine says. Elaine says, I've learned eating healthy isn't necessarily healthy.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
And she's right.
What does that mean?
Well, because you can eat all the vegetables and all the stuff you want.
Yeah.
But, a lot of these organic farms and things like that, while they have great intentions, well, okay, so healthy, now, healthy to the environment or healthy to us or healthy, that way, a lot of different ways to take that word healthy. So, in order to make tofu, you have to kill a lot of ground squirrels and animals that eat your
oh, right.
So,
yeah,
there you go.
So, but Elaine just says,
but yes, but I agree. I mean, it's not necessarily that it's healthy, because if you're not eating enough, if you're not consuming the right quantities and the right kinds of nutrients, then you might as well just be eating hay.
Yeah.
Or rabbit, for that matter.
Well, Elaine just said snake. That's why.
Oh, that's kind of.
But no, I mean, you're right. And certainly those things there is impact from different things. And certainly chemicals are a big thing. Pesticides, fertilizers, oh my God. And Roundup, give me some glyphosate, mama. Yeah, that stuff is scary. All right, so anyway, my son in Sacramento said that this past week he ran into 2 rattlers hiking with his job. Wow. Yikes. Yeah, when I was back in Minnesota, I showed you guys the hill behind the house, and that is called Rattlesnake Bluff.
The hill behind the house.
Yeah, it's a bluff. I mean, I don't know if bluff is a regional term or if people all over the place know it. I don't know
what a bluff is.
Do you?
Yep.
Yeah. But yeah, that was called Rattlesnake Bluff, and I heard rattlers every once in a while. They kind of were not around for very much for years, but then they've come back, I guess. We were always warned, living right on the shore of the river, that in the hot months like July and August, you got to be careful, because that's when they're coming off the hill and heading to the waters.
Right.
So to cool off, because they get too hot.
Oh,
poor things.
Oh.
Snakes are child's play. Crocker said. Croker. Okay, I got to be really careful how I pronounce things.
Oh my God! It's not the way you pronounce them; it's the way you read them.
Well, it's my lips that make them objectionable. I love playing with eastern brown snakes.
Smoke gator sounds good.
Actually, it does. I've had gator before. I thought Minnesota was too cold for snakes. No, it's only part of the year, and they do hibernate just fine. Turns out. They go, so they warm back up in the spring and raise all kinds of new hell. So, no, actually, I don't even know anybody that was bitten by a rattlesnake in this area that has rattlesnakes. I don't even know, because most people, when they go out in the woods, you put on the thick boots. You get the snake boots or some kind of thick boots that they just can't bite through, and it's the Homo Red Wing shoes. So. There was lots of thick leathery boots around. All right. So anyway, yeah, D-hole's right back there, right behind my head.
Oh, I thought you were calling me something nasty there for a minute.
No, I'd never do it out loud, Don. I'd just do it behind your back. All right, so let's get back to the rest of this show because we got a lot more to go. And next up is, of course, Discord. And the special thanks again to Jucky for pulling this together because, God, I didn't have to. That was great. 2 times now. That was awesome. So, but I did actually get this comment through YouTube. And so I said, hey, Chucky, let's post that because that's a great comment or a great question that somebody submitted on the YouTube comments for the question of the week. And it was John Attitude is the one that came up with it. So let's get to the question of the week. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Discord question of the week, where you will find us asking questions of the paranormal nature to our Discord community for your guys' 2 cents. And this has been a fun segment. I really like getting your guys' reflection on this different stuff. And you have it open, right, Don?
I do.
So without further ado, Don's going to walk us through the question of the week.
So our good friend Chucky Danger, thank you very much, by the way, poses this question. There are many cycles and behavior patterns associated with the different phases of the moon. Do you think the paranormal phenomena increase at full moon? And shout out to John Aptitude for the suggestion.
Yeah.
So Eric the Purple Hobbit says, yes, in fact, working in a retirement home and house for developmentally disabled folks, I've witnessed that firsthand. There is a reason for the term lunatic. Mm-hmm. Everybody sing it with me, blah, blah, blah. Lunatic in the grass. Ah, there you go. There's
lunatic is on the grass.
Anyhow.
We did sing it with you.
Yeah, there you go. I think so. I believe there is some truth behind the myth, says Cryptic Chaos. Well, yeah, I believe there is too.
Yeah.
Android, he says, great question considering tomorrow's full moon, but not just any full moon. It's a super full moon. It'll be one of the rare times the Earth is both full and at its closest approach to the Earth. So the moon will be over 30% brighter than average and over 14% larger than usual. Yeah, it was huge last night. Did you see it?
No, I didn't.
Oh my gosh, it was huge.
I had sand in my eyes all night.
Well, I
hardly saw fireworks.
I had 15 miles to look at it.
Oh, nice.
So 14% larger than normal. I will evaluate tonight if anything crazy happens to me. Then answer Tuesday or Wednesday. Hopefully the skies are clear tonight.
Yeah.
Brenda Joe says, well, after 30 years as a nurse and 5 more as a nursing assistant, I can verify that it's 100% true. Mm-hmm. There was also an uptick in paranormal activity when I worked late shifts. At least it was for me. In my observations during the waning gibbous moon phase, after a full moon, people were markedly more tired and there were usually less behavior or sleep issues for them. Interesting.
That is really interesting.
Comment Man, there's Lewis again.
Uh-huh.
The fuller the moon, the more energy the paranormal activity is. But some superstitions have people act more wild or negative actions. While other phases of the moon, everything is normal. Even rituals are performed during phases of the moon. Correct? Yeah, absolutely. Stone Hobbit. Maybe it's the concentration. We all look at the moon when it's full, directed energy. Whatever ritual gathering, then you get those tapping into the energy flow.
Right.
There you go. Utah Sam says it could be us. Yeah, it could be us. ZX81 version 2 says, one observation I've made about spirits, they don't like strong light, white light or sunlight. Perhaps when a full moon happens, the moonlight doesn't
affect them as much.
There you go.
Yeah.
And that might be true because it's considered a soft light and there's no fewer shadows cast at those times.
I think it probably has to do with UV, honestly.
That might be true.
Yeah.
Ash Hermit says, took 911 calls for several years. Yeah, that's an insane job. And then things got crazy during the full moon. People heard and saw things. People and animal went off the rails. Many of the calls defied any logical explanation. Wow. I wish I would have kept a log of those interesting calls.
Yeah, no kidding. I'd love to have heard them.
Yeah. Batman just simply says no.
Okay.
Karen Alb says it absolutely does. Working in a nursing facility most of my life, we always knew when there was a full moon. Didn't need to look, so I would think that there would be increased activity as well. Other than that, I have no deep thoughts about it. There you go. Batman comes back and says the full moon may affect behaviors, but I don't attribute it to the increase of paranormal activity. There you go. So that's a little bit, there you go. Chucky Danger answers his own question, or answers the question he found posed. The moon helps give Earth its rhythms and cycles. As a hunter and a fisherman, I can tell you that the phase of the moon does make a difference in activity of wildlife. Deer species are more likely to be nocturnal and feed all night if the light of the moon is bright. Yes. Under a new moon, it kind of forces prey species to be more
diurnal.
Yeah. Yeah. The changes in prey behavior would also affect the top predators like Dogman and Sasquatch. The lore of the werewolf being active on a full moon is probably seated in the increased activity of Dogman on higher nighttime light conditions. I've heard from a few researchers that the opposite is true for Sasquatch. They seem to be more active and prefer nighttime conditions with low light. Another side note is that Farmer's Almanac also tracks the phases of the moon. Then there is also the fact that the moon causes the tidal forces. This would indeed affect behavior of ocean-going cryptids. Who knows, maybe mermaids prefer singing under the moonlight. Is that where we're going to find them?
Well, maybe.
Maybe. Rachel 101, we know who that is. Just a thought, maybe during a full moon, the sunlight reflects back onto the earth is altered. So maybe during the full moon, the sunlight reflecting back on the earth is altered. A radiation sort of change by the moon's geological properties. This altered radiation could pass through the atmosphere, pass through the buildings or any structures. Are you a freaking... wow, you always come up with these really deep thoughts. And affect the electrochemical physiology of people and other animals, causing unusual individual behavior, sometimes violent, or it could trigger a mystical experience. The effects are all based on the person's personality. Yeah, how they would interpret it. This could be the cause of mystical historical events in the past, resulting in visions that could either be grand, affecting entire cultures, or even make an event that is entirely personal a spiritual experience for an individual. Yeah, I just gotta wonder, is she like some kind of undercover professor or something? I mean,
she gets it right.
Oh my gosh, just always thinking that.
Hate to see her in jeopardy, man.
Yeah, no doubt.
Tear it up. Boom.
Alex, I'll take on Don for $10,000, and you know what? I'll just win. Yeah, there you go.
Don just forfeits.
It's against Rich.
Oh, my tummy hurts.
I just can't go. The Batman. Actually, Rachel, that's a good point. It's been shown that different colors can affect moods. Yeah. Also, you are right. The moon isn't a mirror. Any light reflected off it would have wavelengths shifted in accordance with what materials it's bouncing off of. Good food for thought. And how do you like my new avatar? It's something called Dirtbag Batman. Oh my. I'm not going there. Android comes back and he says, I think the moon does play a part in paranormal activity. However, I'm not sure if a full moon would increase or decrease activity. I feel like it could be either way. For one, people are more likely to notice a full moon than a new moon or some other moon phase. So maybe it's what started the reputation that a full moon increases activity. Wow. Then on the other hand, since paranormal activity does seem most prevalent around 3 to 4 a.m., then this seems to give credence to the longer period without sun, then easier for paranormal activity to occur. So whatever the moon does, then I definitely think it plays some sort of role in the frequency of paranormal activity. It seems beyond coincidence that at least 3 of my paranormal experiences occurred during the 3 a.m. hour.
Yeah.
I wish I could have documented what the moon phase was each time, but I will anytime in the future going forward. Anyone Everyone should document the following things when they have paranormal experiences. What time is it, the date, the moon phase, and the weather, including Don when he hears the noises in his attic. Thank God I don't have an attic.
Yeah. Maybe that's a metaphor for your head.
Oh. Oh.
All right. And
like
then,
the bats in the belfry and the dirt. That's
yeah.
Android comes back a little later and says, also, there kind of was one weird thing that happened on a full moon night. Not sure if it's paranormal, but certainly was out of the normal. We were watching TV during the full moon night a couple nights ago, then suddenly heard in our basement a hissing noise, and our cat came running full speed up the steps and into the living room. I've never seen her run full speed, unprompted, without playing with her or scaring her.
Oh.
I also never heard her hiss. That wasn't prompted by an outside cat or by me trying to put her in a crate for the vet. Yeah. So it definitely is strange she acted that way. Kind of like something really startled her in the basement. Mm-hmm. What are the chances that could have been after I said a few days ago that I would wait and see what happens on a full moon night before answering? Seems a little beyond coincidence to me.
Yeah.
There you go.
Kind of does, yeah.
Yep. Luna Monocorn says, I work at a public library. Nice. Never mind. Full moons equal crazy stuff happening, both wildly exciting and strange as hell. And during the full moon, I feel like my ability to predict what's going to happen increases.
Oh.
I feel like the full moon always makes the woods behind my house or behind my house more active. Don't know if it's paranormal, but crazy noises, screams I couldn't identify as fox, owl, or birds. Ooh. So there you go. Yeah, crazy.
Well, Don,
yes,
you and I both have a background in corrections.
Correct.
Did you notice during the full moon cycles that things were wilder?
You know, it wasn't as bad as some people might think it would have been. There'd be some people that would have an attitude and they'd do things that they normally wouldn't do, but they wouldn't be out of the ordinary of their typical behaviors, because I think incarcerated people for the most part have some kind of issue other than,
well, yeah, they got several, yeah,
there's a lot of different properties that play into that. But I didn't notice anything especially crazy during full moons.
No. I did.
Yeah.
Terribly different nights on full moons for sure for us. Yeah.
Wow.
In fact, we would warn each other when it was a full moon night just because.
Really? Wow.
Oh yeah. Terribly more active with people going off the rails, doing weird stuff and causing problems, just going off.
That's crazy.
Yep.
Yeah, because I don't.
That's where the term lunatic comes from, right?
Yeah. I don't ever remember anything like that.
Yeah,
happening out of the ordinary.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, it's not, it doesn't necessarily have to be everybody's experience, but
right.
Android had a comment in the chat there that's for you.
Oh, in the chat. Don, one night you said you kept hearing things in your house upstairs, but you never. I know what it was though. So I mentioned that I heard that noise I was in my studio and I heard that noise in the corner in the walls. Well, I know what it is. It's actually just animals, because we have so many different kinds of animals that get through here. It could have been a raccoon just trying to stay warm. So it could have even been a cat for all I know. So yeah, that's right. I did say that, and you could hear it kind of at the top of the wall, just kind of coming over the top to the roof. But animals, especially mice, especially up here, they sleep in your what is it called? Insulation all the time. So it's always there.
Well, there you have it. All right, folks, this has been the question of the week. Thank you, everybody, for your responses. Again, check the description of the show for the permanent link to join. If you haven't already joined our Discord community, we'd love to have you over there, because, by God, we've got a lot of discussions going on, and they're fantastic. People are posting links. People have posted their wares. If you create things, you can post them. I mean, there's all kinds of opportunity there. So anyway, let's get back to the rest of the show. All right, Don.
And there we are.
There she blows, lad. Let's get into some more of the paranormal goodness that we all love. God, my neck hurts. Oy. Ay, ay, ay.
That just reminded me of a story somebody told me the other day.
Okay. Do tell.
So anyhow, I'm talking to this guy, comes into work every now and then. He knows I do this show and everything. And, he goes, hey, what do you think about, old hag syndrome?
Oh,
you mean? And I said, you mean
sleep paralysis?
Sleep paralysis. And he's like, yeah, but I wasn't asleep, or maybe I was. Anyhow, but he was telling me, this one time, he felt something. He was at his girlfriend's house, and her parents were there, so he kind of dozed off on the couch, sitting up, and he said that something came up from behind and put their hands on his shoulders.
Oh.
And spoke into his ear and said something to the effect of, she saved you for now, but I'm just waiting for you to slip. And that was like 35 years ago, right? And he said it was like the most scariest thing. He couldn't move. He was screaming to himself, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, this kind of thing. And he woke up to his girlfriend shaking the crap out of him, trying to get him to wake up. And he goes, well, why didn't you wake me up? I was screaming. I was terrified. I was screaming. And she goes, you weren't screaming. You were sitting there vibrating. I thought you were having a major heart attack.
Oh, wow.
And so she shook him out of what it was. But, he said that was like 35 years ago. So, you telling me, I thought, well, how about a massage, a neck massage? And then I thought about those hands on the back of that guy's neck, and I'm like, nah, it's all right.
That'd be me. I'd be like, hey, since you're there, you want to work out that knot?
Yeah, hey.
Can you get on those?
You want to get a little naughty there? On my neck, that is.
Oh, no, I wouldn't mean it like that. But anyway, I know you would. Here we go, folks. We're going to get into some paranormal stories. We're going to deal with more of these glitches in the Matrix.
God, that scared me.
What did?
I accidentally bumped it.
Oh, you did? Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, what's that? Like, oh, that guy.
Yeah,
okay.
There it is. And,
all right.
And the ones behind are on as well. If they
instruments for sappy music, Chucky.
What?
So Rachel said something about when they want to harvest wood for musical instruments, they go out on they go out closer to the full moons because the sap is higher in the tree, because it apparently has some kind of a tidal effect on the sap in the tree, and it brings it up to the top. So when you cut it down, you got that bottom piece that doesn't have all the sap in it, so maybe better resonance, right? Oh. So Chucky Danger says instruments for sappy music.
Don, it's spreading like a virus in the chat, your humor. It's like... so dry. I'm gonna have to install sprinklers in the chat. just to moisten it up a little bit.
Oh God!
I got to be careful with everything. It's like doing a show with a teenager. Anyway.
Wow! I didn't know I rated so high.
Well.
Wow.
All right, here we go, folks. Let's get into some glitches in the Matrix and find out just what's going on.
Wow.
All right. Again, this is from moneyawaits.com, and we've been going through it for a while, but these stories are really good. They're quick and very interesting. So this is not a site that specializes in paranormal stories, but they did this Reddit scrape article, and it's been pretty good. I got to admit. Some of them we've heard before. So if you hear repetitions and stuff, that's fine. Don't worry about it. We just have no control. The stories get popped everywhere. So
Luna Moonicorn says it puts the lotion on its portal. That's just wrong. Bang your head.
I feel better now. All right. All right. Just, my God. It is. It's like a virus. It's like the Don virus. It's the beard. Everybody's going to have long beards and bucket hats and bad humor.
Chucky, shut up.
Oh, God. I get asked every once in a while, why is your show huge?
It might be because of my co-host.
Why don't you have hundreds of thousands of subscribers? And I'm like, Let me think.
Maybe because we're not ready for the population.
Apparently we're not hitting that sophisticated niche quite yet.
Oh, no.
All right, here we go. Number 53. Hello, stranger.
Why, hello.
Why, hello there.
Hello, how are you? An acquired taste, yes. Luna Unicorn is correct. It's an acquired taste. Sorry.
Okay.
Hello, stranger.
Hello, stranger. This was the creepiest thing that has ever happened to me. I was chilling in a cafe several years ago when somebody I'd never met before, never seen before, walked in. I've racked my brain trying to place this person's face. And I'm totally positive that I didn't know this person. Anyway, he came up to me and asked, "Are you?" and said my full name. I said, "Yeah," kind of unsure. And he wanted what he wanted. And the guy just nodded and then walked out of the store. And I never saw him again. Huh? That was by big underscore PHAT, fat. Big fat. Maybe liar. I don't know. That's a true story. It could be big fat liar. I don't know.
That's my rap name, Big Fat. Pretty hot and tempting.
Yeah.
I got big butts and I can't outlast.
All right, Don. Number 54, the untwinning. When I was a freshman or sometime in high school, we had a pair of new students start who were twins. I remember both of them because while they were twins, we've read this one before.
Yes, we have.
They had slight differences, so I could tell them apart. And anyway, a few years after high school, I got a friend request from one of them, and it was nice to reconnect, so I accepted. I was looking at her Facebook page randomly one day. When I was going through her pictures, I didn't see any of her sister, which I thought was odd. Well, I mentioned it to my friend, and she looked at me strangely and said, "She doesn't have a twin." I asked another couple of people we went to high school with, and they all said the same thing. I have no idea what happened, and it still baffles me because I distinctly remember two of them. But apparently, there was only one. That was by Polar Seltzer Addict. So, there you go.
Okay.
There was only one, Don. There can be only one. They were like Highlanders.
Only one.
Yep. All right, number 55, the uncanny hitchhikers. I was driving down a freeway in a big city after work, and my car stalled in the left lane. Some guy immediately came up to me and offered to tow me to the next off-ramp. He dropped me off, and I tried giving him some money, but he declined, telling me to instead do something nice for someone else. Well, I got my chance a week later. I think we've read this one, too.
I'm pretty sure we have.
There was a rare downpour as I got in my car after work. Two scruffy-looking guys came running up to me, and one said, "Hey, brother, we missed our bus," and he wanted to know if I could give the two of them a ride. Well, this wasn't the best part of town, and I would have declined, but I remembered what a good Samaritan had told me. Pay it forward. Okay, I said, hop in. We drove onto the freeway, and I made all my usual turns heading home, and it was the same way my two passengers wanted to go. I'll bet it was.
I bet so.
Yeah, that's
got a
right.
sucker on the hook. Let's just have him take us to his place.
Oh, where do you live? Your house.
Your house.
After a while, we got to an exit when they asked me to stop, and it was the exact same spot in a city of millions of people where that other guy had unhitched my car from his truck and told me to do something nice for someone else.
Nice.
Yeah. Yep. Pay it forward. Pay it forward, Don.
Mark that one paid because you.
Yeah, paid in full.
Yeah.
Ed Suam was who wrote that one. Where do babies come from is next. All right.
A rock in a creek.
Historic, I think. I was at my best friend's 18th birthday party at her big brother's house. There were like 10 of us there. The party started around 11 at night. And at 3 in the morning, one of my friends asked to go to sleep because he started to feel tired. He went upstairs to an empty bedroom, but came right back downstairs. And he said he couldn't sleep in that room because there was already a baby sleeping in the bed. We were all confused because no one of us had kids and neither did my friend's brother. So we decided to check. In fact, there was a baby. We've covered this one before. We tried to wake the baby up by touching him, but he didn't stir. We were all afraid, but decided to let him sleep. 30 minutes later, the baby suddenly starts crying. All together, we went to the bedroom and tried to calm him. We fed him, and with what? What did you feed it?
Beer, pizza.
Have some chips, baby.
Shut up.
We fed him, and he fell asleep again. Would they just have formula laying around? What's going on here? We went back to the living room. We started cleaning the house around 5 in the morning when a friend screamed, "Where's the baby?" Sure enough, the baby had disappeared just as it had reappeared or had appeared.
Just wanted to be part of the party.
Yeah.
This is FOMO.
Yep. Waraba Slim wrote that one. Number 57, repressed memories. I have this weird memory, almost like a dream. In it, I'm a boy in a suit and tie. I'm at a huge party in a huge ceremonial church where there are lots of men and women wearing fancy black clothes. Oh, it sounds like a funeral. They all gathered in a circle. It was the middle of the day, and the light was brightly coming in through the windows, and there are other older couples dancing in the middle of the circle. There was classical music, and I was trying to look at the dancing couples through people's legs, and suddenly, without cause, a man fell. Then a second man fell. Everyone started screaming. People were running away, but the men were running towards the men who had fallen. I think the crowd trampled me because I was lying on the floor, and then everything went black. I'm really creeped out because I know that memory isn't mine. I've never gone to a fancy party in a church when I was little. That was my Water Bottle Man 8000. But did some other incarnation of you remember that?
Right.
Yeah. Right. Is that a past life thing?
Right. Yeah.
Yeesh. Number 58. Next time, take the stairs.
As opposed to jumping out the window?
Yeah. Well, I'm thinking elevator, but yeah. So this is when I was about 8. My mom, brother, aunt, and grandmother all traveled to Chicago, and we'd been staying in a hotel for about 5 days. It was very upscale, new, and overly very nice. Overall, very nice. Sorry. Those entire 5 days, my mom would let me run ahead to the elevator when returning to our room from swimming, getting ice, etc. She'd let me ride up alone since our room was right to the left of the elevator when you got off, and my grandmother would always have the door cracked. So one day on the way back from the pool with a wet hair, suit, and towel, I did the same. I ran ahead and entered the elevator. I pressed the button for the 7th floor. There's only one elevator in this hotel. Once I got to the 7th floor, I knew by the signs outside the elevator, I went to the second door to the left, like maybe 20 times before that week. I knocked and knocked. Nothing. I remember becoming weirdly alarmed at this point, and that's the best way I can describe it. So while wondering why my grandma wasn't answering the door, I returned the few feet to the elevator and waited for my mom and brother. I saw on the display that the elevator was arriving on floor 7, the floor I was on. It was clearly written on the sign. I see the lights, and I hear the elevator ding. The doors open, empty. At this point, I just feel something is very off, and return to the room door, knocking and crying now, getting cold because I'm still very wet from the pool. Finally, after no more than a minute, a very old woman answers the door and says, "Dear, I told you already yesterday, this is not your room." I had not been there yesterday. She then said, it will be fine. I'm very sorry, but I'm on the phone with my son. Give it a few more minutes. Your mom is coming. And then she freaking closed the door. I was shocked. How could anyone close the door on a crying kid who'd lost their mother, especially a woman who seemed like the caring grandmotherly type? Almost immediately after she closed the door, the elevator opened. My mom ran out crying and grabbed me, and she was saying, "Oh, honey, where were you?" I've never been so worried, and then went to open the door, and this is where it gets really creepy.
It's just now getting creepy.
It wasn't our room. She was stunned. The whole time I'm trying to explain what had just happened, and my timeline of events had only been about 5 minutes. She was still hugging and holding me, and she just kind of went into autopilot and went back into the elevator with me. She pressed 7 again. The doors closed super briefly and then reopened. The elevator didn't move at all. Once the door opened, we both saw my grandmother standing in the second doorway to the left, crying.
Wow.
When she saw us, she was very happy, running to hug us. And apparently I had been missing for 45 minutes. Law enforcement had been called, every floor had been checked, and they were still in the process of knocking on all the doors, opening even locked vacant rooms.
Wow.
Apparently my mother had decided to go look at the pool to see if I'd return there one more time. Then after seeing it was empty, she took the same elevator back up to 7, the only elevator in the hotel, only this time out of the multiple other times that day. She found me.
Wow.
And not only that, we were clearly not in the elevator hiding out, as it was the only one, and the officers and staff had gone up and down in the elevator multiple times looking for me. We still talk about it to this day and can't explain it, even though it had apparently been 45 minutes. My hair was still wet.
Wow.
The officers were kind of angry until the hotel staff pulled up the camera. The footage was terrifying. It showed me getting on the elevator, but then never getting off. Then when my mother got on the lobby, you could see her get on. 10 minutes passed, and then she gets off on the 7th floor with me in her arms. And they went through all the cameras on all the floors, which had very clear angles of the elevator on each floor. Nothing. I swear the staff was freaked out, as were the officers. They were almost convinced someone had taken me, and then became freaked out and left me shortly after. They were stumped as to why my hair was still wet, but they couldn't refute the cameras as they were very high resolution, working correctly and everything. I've always wanted to call back and see if they still talk about it years later. I still have no clue who the woman was, nor was I ever able to identify her. For the investigation, even after they found me, they locked down the hotel and all possible exits and had a perimeter. Every guest in the hotel was more than happy to help. Women from ages 50 and on, all willing to let the law enforcement officers take photos. Not one of them was the woman. This woman had very blue eyes, like very. The only possible connection I can think of is that the woman and I had almost identical eyes. It's kind of rare considering how dark my hair is. I really don't know. That was by Sydney Danielle, 23. Wow is right, huh?
Yeah, that's crazy.
Crazy is what we do here on the portal.
So, wow, yeah, I got off the elevator on the wrong floor.
Yeah, exactly.
Or the wrong dimension.
Yep. That's where the dreams come from. If you haven't ever known a person, and honestly, have you ever looked into a mirror at your dreams, in your dreams? No, I don't think I have, actually. Unknown. That's a great question. I've wondered about dreams, too, just on a side note. I think perhaps... Whoa, shoot. Left that on.
What are you doing?
Derp. Just rookie. I'm just nerfing the show, Don, like usual.
Let's just push buttons.
I have wondered about dreams because I was really... I've always been fascinated by them because whatever's going on in dreams, no matter how absurd, no matter how our logical mind would just simply go, what?
Huh?
We are absolutely sure that when we're in a dream, it's real. I mean, it's as real as this life, if it's a really profound dream. And I mean, I've caught myself falling asleep and starting to hear conversations and starting to hear, starting to see things that I know in the dream are like, oh, that's my best friend. Oh, that's, my brother. That's my, and then when I shake myself back awake, it's like, I have no idea who those people are. What the hell was going on?
Right.
And I almost wonder if some of the dreams aren't just glimpses into our multiversal experience, like we are maybe expressing a life in maybe multiple dimensions at the same time. Who knows, right?
Yeah, true. Yeah.
Yeah. So I've thought about that. I mean, it's just a wild theory, but what if? And I believe some are just ridiculously stupid expressions of an idling mind. But
Disturbed.
yeah, well, disturbed in some cases, yeah. But I think it's also Could be many things. But anyway, dreams are fascinating for sure. But you know what else is fascinating, Don?
What's that?
The Paranormal Portal.
Yes, sir.
And the Cryptid Corner.
Dum, dum, dum.
Boom, boom, boom. We got a couple left from Sasquatch Chronicles. And it's some pretty short ones for the most part. I might have covered this one. I might have already covered this one last time and just didn't close it. I've been known to do that, Don.
No way.
I've been known to reread articles here on the show. It's because my tab farm is so expansive.
Yeah, no doubt.
I got a real healthy crop here, Don.
Yeah, now I know where all that 60,000 tons of fertilizer went on the East Coast.
Where?
On your tab farm.
It's fertilizing my tab farm?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I think you're helping to fertilize it too.
Oh, boy. Oh, man.
All right. So,
oh, boy. Brent needs a secretary.
I do. I need a personal assistant like crazy. A very capable personal assistant. Yeah. But so far, I just got me. All right.
He's got it all in hand.
just please. All right.
Hold on a second.
I think I'll read this one anyway, just because I'm not sure.
I'm going to juggle these balls. Hold on.
You just quit playing with balls in here, Don. All right. So let's get to the story.
Okay.
All right. The first story is from Sasquatch Chronicles blog. This is Wes's main homepage. And if you're not checking out the blog, you're missing a whole lot of contents because he posts not only his and emails that we're going to be reading, but he also posts stuff from a lot of other shows on this blog, and it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Whether it's Tony's Confessionals or in the Confessionals podcast webpage is great as well, but also some of our stuff, some of several other shows. So you're missing a lot of content if you're not visiting the Sasquatch Chronicles blog.
He's got a lot in there.
He's got a ton, and he's real diligent about keeping it updated. So if you're not checking it out, you're missing part of the story. All right, this is an article from June 16th. Might have read it already, might not, but we're going to read it again. The show is now available. It's now a show. It says, every time my grandfather took me hunting.
You forgot to say Louisiana boogers.
Louisiana, not Louisiana.
Oh,
Louisiana.
Louisiana. Hot sauce pepper.
Tonight show, Louisiana boogers.
There you go.
Every time my grandfather took me hunting, my grandfather would say, be careful and watch out for the booger. I never really thought that much about it until the day I saw one while hunting. I remember thinking, is that what my grandmother is always talking about? I did read this one. It wouldn't be the last time I saw it. And eventually I told my grandfather, and he told me, son, if you leave them alone, they'll leave you alone. But I will ask you that you do not tell anyone about what you saw. My grandfather was a master outdoorsman, and I got the impression he had run-ins with them as well. So it's now an episode. It was, I guess, for almost a month now. But it's called Louisiana Boogers. It's one I want to go back and listen to because I haven't heard it. I just haven't had a chance to listen to podcasts much.
He likes boogers.
I do. But let's get to the next story from Sasquatch Chronicles blog. And this is Duty Stations from Hell, Camp Lejeune. And this is from June 11th, so it's a little earlier, sent to Nick Orton. And Nick Orton, of course, is Tales from the Grid Square. Yeah, thank you. And he's been on the show, great guy, and it was fun to talk to him. Animal guard detail at Camp Devil Dog, we were all told the stories of the ghosts haunting the forest edge, where the obstacle course was, and how about you don't tell the Wendigo, and about how you don't tell the Wendigo in the training area your name or play catch with the thing at the gate. Where the night lady would visit younger sentries, thinking they were her children, to Marines who were nabbed by the spooks and spent the rest of their life in the psych ward in the Lejeune Hospital. On the second coldest night of my life, I was attempting to sleep on the rock where my platoon sergeant decided to interrupt. PFC, you awake? If you need me to be awake, Staff Sergeant. Good. Go with this screw up to the ammo points. I'll be back to get you at 0200. I can't remember the other Marine's name, but I do remember he had a shrill voice, and he was talkative, pubescent idiot. I just wanted to suffer in silence, standing there and rotating our rounds along each 50-foot side of our guard shack. I looked at my Timex, and it was around 45 when the fog started coming in from the edge of the tree line surrounding the field in front of us. It was about the size of a baseball field, and we were on the left foul line. It was a thick fog, but suddenly I felt very chilled. I thought nothing of it because it was December in North Carolina, but that random fog kept coming towards us. Something just didn't feel right. By the time we radio checked in the fog, was over us, waist high, and we couldn't see our feet. At 01:10, the other guy finally stopped yapping. I thought, well, this was good. No more annoying sounds, just cold. I looked over, and he was staring through the rifle optic with his mouth open. Then I saw something move on the inside of the tree line, something that was above the fog. I thought I was just getting hypothermic, and I radioed in that we had an issue with an unidentified floating object. Huh. I asked my battle buddy, you brought the silver bullets, right? He looked terrified. I started laughing uncontrollably at how crazy he looked until I heard laughter come from the fog. A ghostly apparition started bounding towards us, doing a left, right, left jump every 10 meters. As if we were on Supernatural or Ghostbusters. This thing started talking to us, whispering and cooing at us. That almost seemed to echo. Beckoning us to come here, my little children. Mommy's back.
Wow.
Don't be shy. You've nothing to fear. It's your mommy. Well, it carried on over and over and over each jump, it started even louder.
Wow.
The fog was getting denser and deeper, almost up to our stomachs, and I shouldered my rifle, following this figure through the optic, and it was a plaid farm dress stained in various splotches. I lowered my M16 because I couldn't track it fast enough. I didn't need my optic anymore. It was barely 50 meters from us. The face was normal. It was almost pretty until it grew closer and it began to grow uglier with each jump. It was hideous. A head so caved in on one side, I could fit a fist in it. The fog went from gray to bluish hue. The voice stopped sounding audible. Rasps and screeching replaced the melody calling for us. My battle was in the fetal position, sobbing, when it got maybe 15 feet from us. Then an engine brake came out of nowhere, and high beams filled the area. A silver F-150 long bed drifted through the woman, and she vanished into thin air. It seemed like an hour passed to get my partner into the truck bed and take him to quarters so Doc could look at him. After explaining what happened to the sergeant on the guard, he told me I didn't have to do any more shifts for the rest of the training. So I guess that was worth it. Cue me standing in another ammo guard shift. That promise was as empty as the field was when we left. I wish I could tell you what we saw, but I can't. Anonymous U.S. Marine wrote in, or that's Anonymous U.S. Marine. Camp Lejeune, North Carolina is a hub for Marines across the forest. Chances are Marines have attended Marine combat training at Camp Devil Dog or the Infantry Training Battalion at Camp Geiger. Both courses have their similarities, but are drastically different. MCT trains POGs. ITB trains grunts. But they both have this in common. A ghostly force that has haunted Marines in the woods of North Carolina. In fact, the stories that come out of Devil Dog and Geiger are centered around one simple theme: the phantom of a ghostly woman in white. Many Marines have reported seeing a ghostly woman in the woods of Lejeune. She is a local legend known by trainees and cadre alike. Sometimes she's at a distance watching from the wood line or wandering close to Marines on duty. Sometimes she's right in your face, staring. Marines report that she will walk right up to the fighting position, curiously looking at the terrified recruit in the hole. Sometimes you hear a young voice in the woods, screams, crying, or calls for help. The cadres will suggest you best ignore them. That's just her trying to lure you away. In fact, they seem well aware of her. Terrifying and mysterious, she has haunted the training area and Marines for decades. Depending on the stories, she can appear as a full-grown woman, a teenager, or a little girl. Or such as the story of in the very beginning, a demonic creature of a grotesque nature. Curiously, if you venture down the road from Devil Dog about 2 miles, you'll come across Verona Loop National Cemetery. Venture inside and walk to the very edges of the cemetery, the very edges that border the Camp Devil Dog training area, and you'll find a lonely grave marker, and it simply bears the name number 16, Molly Humphreys. Not much is known about Molly, who she was or how she met her end, but what is known is that she died at a very young age, gone too soon. Maybe she walks among the living still. Some Marines think so. So next time you're near the Camp Lejeune area, stop by Verona Loop National Cemetery and leave some flowers on Molly's grave.
Wow.
I have a pretty spooky image that was allegedly taken by a trail camera on Camp Lejeune. Rumor has it that some Marines set it up due to strange encounters they had out there. This is a dilapidated cabin and a cross in the woods near where this was supposedly taken. I know people have heard stories in that area and have experienced my compass freely spinning there on more than one occasion. This image was taken in the GSRA, the Greater Sandy Run area, and it's also known as Davis Airfield. It's the furthest training area from the main side post, mostly land, navigation, and field craft training area, and it's across Highway 17 and right across from Verona Loop near Holly Ridge. That's a U.S. Marine. So there you go, from Nick Orton from Tales from the Grid Square. Definitely check him out. He's on Instagram, and you can find tons of his stories posted in picture format on Instagram, and he's done a hell of a job over there. So
that's crazy.
Yeah, he's a great guy. Nick's a great guy. All right, I think we got one more from Sasquatch Chronicles, and this is from June 2nd, so we've been kind of going backwards here, but this is one that I had pulled up and hadn't actually read, but this is also an active Sasquatch Chronicles episode, so check it out. And this is from June 2nd, construction site being vandalized. This incident took place in Maryland, a listener writes. This sighting happened on August 1st, 2001. There was a construction site there. The site was a mall called Arundel Mills Mall being built, and I worked for the electrical contractor, and staff and stuff was getting beat up and trashed at night. I remember bags of concrete mix being thrown all over the place from where they stored it, and that other stuff being pushed over, etc. Well, long story short, they paid some guys to spend the night and try to catch the vandals. 2 or 3 nights went by, and we got to work at about 6:30 a.m., and there's cops, military, helicopters, and search dogs. The guys saw a Sasquatch at like 3:30 in the morning, and they said it walked right past a forklift and ran its hand across it. They measured and said it was about 8 feet tall, and this ain't far from Fort Meade and the NSA, and this is a lot to type, but they wanted the mall opened on time and told all the workers if we talked to researchers, we'd be fired. It's public, but they did their best they could to downplay it. There's more to it, but I'd be happy to tell you about it. So, creepy story. So if you want to hear more, check out Sasquatch Chronicles blog and get the full scoop. 8:20. I thought that they said 8:59. I'm like, really? How do we get there so quick?
Wow, yeah.
It's moving fast, Don. Here's a great story. Now we're going to move to Phantoms and Monsters. And again, this is Lon Strickler's site. Check it out because you'll find hundreds or thousands of encounter stories that are cataloged there, as well as Lon's books and the links to his podcast, which is Phantoms and Monsters Podcast.
Check your phone.
Check my phone. We got a call.
Yep.
Oh, this is a call from our good friend, Mr. Android.
Yep.
All right, let's see what Android's got on his mind here. Hello, Mr. Android. You're on the air.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Good, brother. How you doing?
Doing pretty good. That Arundel Mills Mall is literally like 5 miles from where I grew up.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah.
Is it?
I was like shocked to see that on there. I was like, holy cow, how do I not know about this? That's wild.
Yeah.
But
apparently.
I believe that story because where that mall was built. Well, first of all, just to give you some background, that mall is the largest mall in the state of Maryland that was built in the early 2000s, like it said. It's a whole mile around the ring it's one level, but it's a whole mile around the whole inside. People go inside and run, laps around it, in the mornings and stuff. And,
Oh, sure.
But when it was built in the early 2000s, it was huge. And it's still there and still crazy. They built like casino beside it now and all kinds of stuff. But the original site where they built it, yeah, that was all like wooded area. I mean, it wasn't like a huge wooded area, but I guess it was probably like, I don't know, at least several hundred acres of wooded area. But I mean, for anything to be living there like that, I mean, especially if it's biological Sasquatch, I mean, it's right next to 295, which runs parallel, which is a big highway that runs parallel a few miles east of 95, which goes from all the way from Maine to Florida. But 295 basically goes from Baltimore City down to D.C. It connects the two cities, basically. It's a highway you can take if you don't want to take 95.
Mm-hmm.
And Arundel Mills Mall is like literally like less than 2 miles from 295. But, that whole area right there, so it's at least several hundred acres of woods undeveloped. If you went back 30 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
that entire area was, mostly woods. And I had seen a couple stories, actually, before in that area. There was a nature reservoir, or, preserve not far south of there, a few miles south of there. And I've heard some pretty crazy, I think I heard a dogman report one time down in that reservoir one time. And I was like, wow, It's wild. Like from back in the 80s, when it was less developed.
Sure.
But this is like pretty suburban area. And so it's kind of shocking to kind of hear that area have that report.
Right. In the chat, Killing Reality says, isn't that the mall some weird artist lived in secret for over a year? Is that the same one?
I don't know. It's
Okay.
possible. I mean, it's a humongous mall, so it's totally plausible.
Okay. Well, that's fascinating.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like Mall of America, but it's probably like a quarter the size of that Mall of America. But for our standards, it was huge.
Well, yeah, that's fantastic. I think that's
Yeah.
that's pretty wild. So yeah, you'll have to look into it and hear if you can find anything about it, or
Yeah,
at least listen to that episode.
Yeah, I'm going to dig into that because there's got to be a newspaper or clipping somewhere around here for that if that really happened. But like he said, that was near NSA headquarters. It really is literally like as the crow flies. I mean, it probably is like 3 or 4 miles from the NSA headquarters.
Okay.
And and it's mostly wooded area and Fort Meade area.
Mm-hmm.
And Fort Meade is famous. They did a lot of CIA did a lot of sketchy stuff there, like
Oh, sure.
questionable stuff. Where they did the psychic tests, stuff like that, and
Sure.
some other questionable tests that came out and declassified documents that were done at that Fort Meade right near there.
That's pretty cool. Wow.
Yeah.
Very cool. I don't think you'll probably find a newspaper clipping because it sounds like it was really hushed up really hard for the developers. So
Yeah.
But
yeah, I mean, it makes if the NSA is 3-4 miles away, I mean, they'd be able to get there pretty quick. Well, even not just NSA, but I mean, Fort Meade, was even closer. I think. I mean, it was like 2 miles. Probably the edge of Fort Meade was probably 2 miles from that area. So,
wow.
yeah, they were able to probably get over there pretty quickly to cover up anything pretty fast if they wanted to. I'm sure.
Yeah, it sounds like that. A lot of people were merged in on there after that stuff happened. But crazy. Yeah. Well,
But yeah, it just makes it just wild because even though that was a big patch of woods, I mean, for a Sasquatch to live there, or even if it was just one, I mean, I don't know if there was enough force there to sustain one, but I doubt it. But he would have had to have been crossing some pretty major roads on a at least semi-regular basis.
yeah.
And it makes me wonder, like, how are they doing that? They must, are they listening for cars and, no, I don't hear any cars, and they just sprint across the road, and nobody's around.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I mean, there's lots of reports of Bigfoot being around urban areas and dumpster diving and stuff. So I think that there's probably some segments of those populations that are doing just that. They're living just on the edge of civilization and just kind of making forays in because I think they're really good at being hidden. So they just don't have a problem avoiding us.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm going to have to rent one of those electric cars that are real quiet so they can't hear me coming.
Well, get a dash cam and drive around and let us know if you find anything, brother.
Yeah, if you hear me get pulled over, there was this guy driving around with an electric car with his lights out at 1 in the morning in the middle of the Poconos.
Yeah.
Officer, I swear I was just looking for Sasquatch.
Yeah, there you go. I'm sure it'll probably work in court.
Yeah.
All right, brother. Well, thanks for calling in, man.
Guys.
Take care.
Nice.
All right, man.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I mean, it just stands to reason. Somebody out there is going to know something, Don.
Yep. Well, you can't keep secrets like this. I mean, they just don't stay.
Not for long. I mean, somebody's going to finally say something. What the hell just happened?
I don't know.
I don't know how that just happened. My story just disappeared. And it was replaced by a different one. It happened like right now.
Did you accidentally click the back button?
No.
Huh.
No, I don't think. No. Let me just look and see if it just got shuffled. Maybe I dragged one by accident somehow. Shouldn't have. No. Yeah, it's a duplicate. Maybe I should hit the back button and see what happens. It's like that. There it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was my mouse was nowhere up here though. I was just like.
It advanced the story.
Yeah, it did. It advanced all by itself. It actually replaced it with a different article that I already have pulled up as well. So let's get to Phantoms and Monsters, as I promised. This is kind of a cool story. I've not read it, but I read the headline. I'm like, God, this would be great. Remarkable experience. Sasquatch pair help push RV out of the mud. I mean, how cool is that? I mean, again, is it true? Well, maybe. I don't know. Maybe not. But if it's true, that's incredible.
Mm-hmm.
They could be like better than AAA, Don.
Maybe.
A couple is RVing in Plumas National Forest when they experience various incidents after over 2 days, culminating in getting stuck in the mud and being helped out by a pair of Sasquatch.
Wow.
Last year, my husband Mike and I were boondocking in Plumas National Forest near the ghost town of Seneca, California.
Wow.
Our jobs give us the freedom to travel freely, so we've crisscrossed the country, camping mostly for free in various national forests. Overall, it's been a positive experience, and this encounter being the exception. We try to stay in the national forest as much as possible, researching our next site for days, sometimes making sure that it fits our needs. We love being able to wake up and see the scenery from our bedroom and the solitude. When we reached the site, it became clear that some changes had been made. The photos online showed a small clearing, and the forest was more open beyond the site on satellite view, but the trees were dense around the site, and we double-checked our coordinates because it appeared the clearing was far larger than indicated with a very small road going in further. There's fresh fire pit as well, something that wasn't in the photos, that shouldn't be there. The fire risk was high at this time. Even though it wasn't quite like we had envisioned, we decided to stay. The extra openness would let us make better use of our solar panels, but it didn't help our cell service. We had about a week's worth of water and fuel on board, but we decided that 5 days would be our maximum. And this would be long enough to justify fully setting up the RV and unpacking. Well, we parked and leveled the RV and got to work setting up the inside of our forest home. I was finishing up when I heard a loud knock on the door. Well, the sound startled me. We were alone. When we pulled in, and we didn't encounter any other drivers on the road, so there shouldn't have been any knocks on our door. I peered out the rear window of the RV and saw an older woman riding a horse with an angry look on her face, waiting for me to answer.
Oh.
I hadn't seen any horse camps listed for the site, but I thought that maybe she was from further in on the dirt road. Even so, there was enough room for a truck and trailer to get past us. I couldn't imagine why this angry rider was knocking on my door. Well, I opened the door and the woman skipped all the niceties and went straight to lecturing me about the fire pit. I had assured her we'd seen the fire warnings and that we weren't the ones who built it. She started telling me that we were on her property and we don't belong there, and I showed her the printout and explained that we were well within our rights to be there. She refused to listen, and it was obvious she was trying to run us off the site. After I made it clear that we weren't going anywhere, she raised her voice and started lecturing me about trespassers and people disrespecting the land. After a minute or two, she threatened to call the rangers and remove us. I welcomed the idea and asked her to call since my phone barely had any coverage. This seemed to upset her even more, but instead of launching into another tirade, she turned her horse around, muttering under her breath, and entered the forest on a small game trail on the side of the site. As I watched her disappearance from the forest, Mike came around from the other side of the RV laughing, and he said he bet she wouldn't call the rangers, and we've been living the RV life long enough that we have become pros at handling people who try to chase us off. A few disrespectful RVers give the rest of us bad name, leaving their garbage behind, violating parking, and being loud late at night. By the time we were fed and cleaned up for the night, it was close to 9 o'clock. The ranger never showed up, proving her threat was as hollow as Mike had thought. We fell fast asleep like we usually do, but it didn't last long. Near 10 p.m., we were jolted awake by the loud roar of engines. I looked out the window while Mike got his bearings, and it was greeted at the sight of several headlights pulling into camp, hauling ATVs and motorbikes in the beds of their trucks. I thought this was maybe the angry horsewoman's revenge, but that idea was quickly wiped from my mind when I saw a man chug a beer and throw the can into the fire pit. Mike and I put our sandals on and stepped outside, hoping that this rowdy group would realize we weren't alone here. They weren't alone here, but they didn't even acknowledge us. We stood there watching them drink beers and throw cans on the ground, yelling and laughing loudly, and one truck turned its radio up, and the girls started dancing in the headlights. We stood there watching the scene of madness before heading back inside, with the hope that after they get unloaded for the night that they would calm down. Midnight rolled around and they were still partying out there, and the walls of the RV didn't muffle any sounds. The laughing, chattering, and crude jokes were perfectly clear in contrast to the quiet forest. We could hear the crackling of a roaring fire in the fire pit, and Mike was concerned that this drunken group wasn't watching it. They weren't supposed to have any fires, especially not one that kept whooshing every time they threw something into it, eliciting cheers from the group. We were two people dealing with at least a dozen people, mostly young men, so he didn't dare confront them. Our phones barely had any service outside the RV, and inside we had none, so calling the ranger was out of the question. By 2 a.m., it was mostly quiet, and we were nearly back to sleep ourselves when we heard the sound of something hitting the side of our RV. We both snapped back awake, thinking we heard giggling. Something hit the RV again, and this time we were certain that there was giggling. Mike jumped out of bed and stormed out the door of the RV, yelling at the perpetrators to knock it off. I stood at the doorway of the RV, but there is nobody outside. The fire pit was abandoned, with flames still reaching up off the logs. Wow. They didn't even douse the fire after they were done using it. And now they dared to start throwing things at our RV. Upset didn't do justice to what Mike felt at that moment. He came back inside, but before he could get back to the bed, something hit the RV. The giggling was louder this time, and we could hear the footsteps behind the RV. Mike finally had enough, grabbed his headlamp, and went outside to get the RV ready to go. He didn't want to be here a second longer than necessary. I tossed things into the bed and into the sink, and we got into the passenger seat. Mike stormed over to their side of the camp and grabbed 2 of their 5-gallon water tanks to pour them onto the fire. He then grabbed 2 more for good measure and flooded the fire pit. Nobody protested him. Nobody even came out of the forest or looked out of their tents as he poured all but 2 of them water tanks on the fire. He left the empty tanks next to the fire, hopped into the driver's seat, and drove off. We'd seen another dirt road on our way to the site. We didn't know if it was a campsite, but we didn't have the energy to go into an area where we had internet service to see if we could camp there. If a ranger stopped by, we would explain what happened at the last site. When we reached it, it looked less used than our previous site. We pulled in, we drove in slowly for about 15 minutes, and then the tires started to lose their grip in a muddy spot. Mike backed the RV up and moved onto the side with the firmer ground, and it was close call, but the road started gaining a little elevation, and it was firm the rest of the way. After about 5 minutes up the road, we found a spot in the light from the headlights, appeared to be about as big as the last site. Mike parked the RV, grabbed his flashlight. As we took a walk around the site, there was no fire pits, and tiny plants were pushing up through the dirt. The ground wasn't well worn here, and there was a teepee-like structure at the far edge of the clearing, but it looked like it was falling apart. There was a faint, funky odor in the air, but we dismissed it, thinking it was probably stagnant water down the hill. We returned to the RV and went to sleep as fast as we could, tossing stuff off our bed. We slept in the next morning, catching up on lost sleep, and when we finally crawled out of the bed, the sun was pretty high in the sky. We went through the routine of setting up the RV again, putting things back where they belong, and having a quick breakfast before exploring our surroundings. We went to inspect the teepee structure, and in the daylight, it was clear that it wasn't falling apart. It was well built, but made to bend in with the branches twisted and weaving between the logs. It looked like a hunting blind, especially because there was a bone pile about a yard away. Mike picked through it and declared it was mostly deer, but he didn't understand why they would process it out here rather than load it up in a truck. As I was walking near the bone pile, I noticed some tracks that clearly had toes, and some were large and some were small, that had to have been made when the ground was muddy. They were crisp now, and now that the ground had dried out, but because nobody would be walking barefoot out here in the rain, I assumed they were bear tracks. I called Mike over and he agreed. We would keep an eye out because some of the tracks were large. We spent the rest of the day relaxing by the RV and enjoying the birds' chatter in the trees around us. When nighttime came, we retreated to the inside of our RV. Our cell coverage was just as terrible at this site, so we did what work we could, saving the uploading when we were done camping at this spot. After dinner, we cleaned up and relaxed in bed, reading our Kindles. Kindles, Don.
Kindles.
At around 9 p.m., we heard a painfully familiar commotion. Mike ran out the door and then stuck his head back in, his face confirming that it was indeed the same group. Mike came back inside and just listened and was shocked as they parked, drinking, laughing, and yelling like before. What a bunch of dicks. As we were sitting in our bed discussing our options, we saw a bright light come in through the window, and we looked out the window and saw they had lit the teepee on fire. The structure wasn't in the trees, but this bonfire was too close for comfort. The girls were dancing around the bonfire, gyrating to a hip-hop song, blaring it out of someone's truck, and I looked at Mike, horrified that they had poured fuel to get the bonfire to light that quickly.
Yeah.
Oh, man, those douchebags. We decided to leave and call the authorities as soon as we were able to. We hurried up and got the RV ready to hit the road. I started the engine and waited for Mike to do a final safety check. Once he was finished, we hopped into the driver's seat, and we were off. As we reached the first slick spot at the bottom of the hill, the tires started sliding, and Mike tried backing up, but the tires just turned. I jumped out of the RV to see if there were any firm spots, but I found that the ground was a mud pit. The tracks must have torn up the ground on their way in. I tried gathering twigs and pine needles to help him get traction. I tried using the chalk blocks to give the wheel something to push against, but it didn't work. We were stuck. Mike was tired and understandably angry, so I took some time to convince him that we should just probably ask the party people to help us out on this predicament. In the morning, we could hear them partying from the bottom of the hill, but it wasn't so bad that we were unable to sleep, and Mike and I crawled into bed to wait for morning to come, and we managed to fall asleep. It was midnight when the sound of people woke us up. We could hear guys yelling and girls screaming from the campsite. I opened the little rear window of the RV, and I could see that the top of the hill was bright, and headlights started coming down the road. Mike ran out the door to wave down the trucks as they flew down the road, barely squeezing by us, and none of them stopped. and we don't know what had scared them out of the campsite. I told Mike they must have started a forest fire and they were probably trying to avoid getting caught. A look of fear crossed his eyes. Our RV was stuck, and if a fire came down the hill, our chances of survival were slim. We went outside and started grabbing any loose debris we could to try to get some traction. Pine needles, pine cones, and small branches went into the mud pit. Mike returned to the driver's seat and put it in reverse while I stuffed more branches into the wheel tracks, and Mike lightly stepped on the gas, giving the RV a chance to grip. And when it barely moved, Mike had me go to the rear axle of the RV and jump while he rocked it between forward and reverse. I bounced for about 10 seconds and then stopped, and then started bouncing again. And after several rounds of bouncing, I stopped. Yeah, that's right in my lap. After about 10 seconds, what's that?
It's bouncing in your lap.
I bounced for about 10 seconds and then stopped and then started bouncing again. After several rounds of bouncing, I stopped, but the RV didn't stop. Mike called back to me asking how I was getting the RV to move so much. I let him know that I wasn't moving. Suddenly, the gentle movements turned violent, shaking hard enough that we could hear things crashing against either side of the cabinets. In either of the cabinets, each other in the cabinets, sorry. I looked out the front window, and it appeared the RV was moving forward. Mike's knuckles were white, gripping the steering wheel. He asked if I thought it was an earthquake, but I couldn't see the trees moving out the windshield. I turned around and looked out the back window of the RV, and what I saw appeared to be brown hair. I opened the rear driver's side window curtain, and there was a massive hairy creature with a smaller one standing along the road. They were both standing on two legs. My view was broken when the RV jolted forward, and I fell back into the bed. I could hear Mike stuttering to talk from the driver's seat of the RV and a grunting sound from the back. On a forward rock, he gently stepped on the gas, and the RV slowly moved forward. When the wheels seemed to gain traction, he stepped harder on the gas, and the RV lurched forward, pulling out of the mud. As soon as the tires held firm, he accelerated down the road, putting space between us and the hairy creatures. I crawled my way back up to the passenger seat, bouncing into the air a couple of times as Mike flew down the dirt road. Once I was buckled in, I tried talking to Mike, but he didn't utter a word until we reached the main road. When he did start talking, he only wanted to talk about getting a hold of the authorities. I wanted to confirm with him what I saw, but he just shook his head. He kept speeding down the road, hands and jaw clenched. I knew he saw them, but he wasn't ready to talk about it. The only thing he would say about the matter was that he knew those people weren't running from a fire. When we reached the point of the road where we could pull off, he parked the RV for the night. Our phone said no service. We didn't know where the ranger was, and it was late. Mike thought that by parking down the road, it would attract the attention of any law enforcement driving by, and if not, we would drive until we found self-service and call them in the morning. We crawled into bed, and Mike fell asleep first. His sweaty, twitchy body gave evidence of a nightmare next to me in the cold RV. I've never been so happy to hear the raucous noises of stellar jays outside. Oh, is that a bird? Okay. Their harsh call let me know that the sun was rising. I made my way to the bedroom and was about to get settled in when I heard a loud knock at the door. I could hear Mike's feet padding across the floor to the door, and I was right behind him. He opened the door, and we were greeted by a ranger asking why we'd parked along the road. Mike explained the events of the last 2 nights, omitting the event of the mud pit, and our encounter with the angry horsewoman. The ranger confirmed that the woman had called to report us, so he had been up both sites that morning to do a check. The first site had trash and the used fire pit, but the second scene he described at the other campsite confirmed that something had scared the rowdy group out. The ranger had seen the charred remains of the bonfire, but there were also ripped tents, overturned water coolers, sleeping bags, and other camping gear strewn about the campsite. He said it looked like the bears had ransacked the site. Excuse me. After assuring him the gear wasn't ours, he warned us not to camp on the shoulder before getting back into his truck and head back up the hill. We hustled through our morning routine, making ourselves presentable with the hopes of finding a cafe in town along Highway 70. When we went outside to do our safety checks, we reached the back of the RV and Mike's hands touched 2 indents spread far apart on the back of the RV that wasn't there before. He shuddered before heading to the driver's seat to test the taillights. After everything was clear, I started towards the front of the RV, but paused as a small SUV came to a stop next to me. The driver was the angry horsewoman, and she had tears in her eyes. She rolled down her window and said, "What did you do to my baby's home?" She then drove away.
Huh.
And Lon said, "This is one of the wildest accounts that I've ever read." It's apparently from transcribed from a YouTube source.
Wow.
So that is very wild. Pretty incredible, Anton?
Yeah, absolutely.
Woo-wee. Well, I guess those Squatches got their revenge.
They did.
Get rid of the losers.
Got rid of all the wannabes.
Isn't it frustrating though when you're in a serene spot like that,
Right.
and then that happens, and
Yep.
that I've experienced that a few times, and it's like this boiling rage just comes over you. Like, really, this is all about you, isn't it?
Right.
You know, you can't slow down and just appreciate the natural beauty and the serenity of something like that. You got to go bring your noise.
They got to speed it up and depreciate.
Yeah, depreciate it. Yeah, exactly.
Speed up and depreciate instead of slow down and appreciate.
Well, you know what I appreciate?
Everybody who tuned in to listen to us talk.
Absolutely. I appreciate all of you. And if you're not already subscribed, get subscribed. We'd love to have you
That's right.
become a permanent part of our family.
Yeah, absolutely. We like permanent families.
We love adopting new subscribers. So
Cases.
we're the head cases, but we love company. We love that company, folks. So yeah, I think that was.
Oh, thank you, Maggie.
Oh, Maggie.
She
remembered.
Oh, ooh, me too. Wait. I should have one too. Super sticker.
Thanks for remembering. Everybody, make sure you remember. That's sweet. Very cool.
Hey, it's been 12 months. Wow.
Are you remembered?
Oh, here we go. Boop.
Don remembered?
There we go.
Oh.
It's been 12 months. Wow.
Thank you. Thank you, John.
There you have it.
Thank you, John. Appreciate it. Glad you enjoyed it. Hope you all enjoyed the journey tonight. Of course, I enjoy it. I enjoy every chance we have to get together. Oh, Elaine. Way to recognize. Elaine remembered. We love it when you guys remember. And don't forget that Friday and Saturday will be live shows as well. Saturday, we're going to do some in-studio investigating again. Because I'm here to tell you, the bug is deep in me now.
Oh boy!
After the Montvale Hotel, woo-wee.
That bug is deep in there. Chucky,
Ooh, Chucky remembered. Thank you, Chucky. Love you guys. Love you all. I appreciate it a bunch. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much. I go so far to help, and we got a lot on the plate too. I will tell you this, and I think I mentioned it in the live stream, but. Charles is working on St. Ignatius, folks.
Yeah.
We're going to, hopefully the next investigation will be St. Ignatius.
Right.
And if you're not familiar with St. Ignatius, just do a YouTube search for it and you'll find about a gajillion investigations that have happened there. If that's a real number. Is that a real number, Don?
Well, it is now.
It is now. Okay. So I live in Spokane and have done security at the Davenport.
There you go.
The Davenport is amazing. I love that hotel. We investigated that last time. So we did the Davenport and the Montvale, and both of those hotels did not disappoint at all. There was definitely activity. It wasn't horrible. It wasn't scary. It wasn't creepy. It was just, they're there.
Interactive.
Right. It's like living history is the best way I can explain it. It's like these are just personalities that have decided to remain and be a part of these places. So it was a wonderful time. And if you haven't seen those videos, I did stream I don't know if I streamed from the Davenport or not. I think I might have.
You tried to, but you had the problems.
Oh, that's right. I had
You
problems.
had the problems.
I always have problems. More fiber might help. Oh, not that problem.
No, just a little coconut milk. I'll be fine.
Oh, hey. All right. So,
Get right out.
so I guess that's going to wrap it up for us tonight, ladies and gentlemen. We've had a great time with you. We hope you've had a great time as well.
Yep.
Don, anything in closing?
Don't forget to get like stuff like this on my head, or something you can get on your back in the form of a T-shirt.
That's right.
Check out the Teespring.
And the link is in the description of the show if you want to check out the gear. We'd be greatly appreciating. You know, Don, I got a recommendation from somebody on Instagram that says we should take that the old demon logo. I don't know if it's a demon, but that red, and make a T-shirt out of that.
Oh.
So
Okay.
I'll send you over an idea.
Okay.
I've been kind of thinking about it. So anyway, folks, my shirt is awesome. Thank you, Elaine, very much. We appreciate that a whole bunch. And, you know, we'll try to develop some new designs too. And we do take recommendations. If you think you've got a winning design, let us know.
Oh.
We'll make it into a shirt.
Send us a piece of art and we'll put it on a shirt.
Absolutely.
That's the winner. Yeah, that's it. The winner.
I've actually got some great pieces that we can put on shirts
Yeah.
already. We can call it the donation series or something.
Oh, there you go.
For those of you that are on our Discord, we are going to start possibly doing a T-shirt giveaway every once in a while over there. So we'll have to figure out the schematics for how that's going to look. But and also maybe for YouTube members. So we'll have to put together a giveaway for YouTube members, Don.
Hey, Smoking Gun, see behind Brent's head there, the D-hole print?
Oh, yeah.
So it's on the wall already. So there you go.
That's
hey,
right.
Thanks, by the way.
Right there.
You and Chucky did great work. Yep.
That's the D-hole. I'm always sitting in front of the D-hole. Wait, that's the one I wanted.
There,
Sorry.
Yeah, there he goes, calling me names again.
It's the power of magic.
You're not worthy.
Yeah. All right, guys. So that's going to wrap it up for us. We love you all. Be good, be kind, be nice. Take care of each other. Help each other out. Find the magic in every day and remember to laugh as much as you can. And remember, Friday night, Saturday night, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 10 p.m. Eastern. There'll be both of those have live shows as well. So hopefully we'll see you there. That's all I got for you. So love you guys. And until Friday, be good. We'll keep churning the recipe here, the cauldron of the portal, and spitting out whole new episodes for you. So, and definitely check out the podcast if you haven't already.
Definitely.
We love some support there.
And also, you can get to our podcast every week. Brent has them ported over to the YouTube. So
yeah, there's a YouTube playlist for it. But I will say this: if you listen to us on like Spotify, iTunes, any other platform that allows ratings, we would really appreciate 5 stars.
yeah.
If you love the show, leave us a great review if you can on the platform you listen to. If you don't love the show, never mind.
Right. And don't be shy, because nobody will know that it was actually you that called us a great show.
No. Yeah.
Unless you leave your name, of course.
Yeah, unless you leave your contact information, then you're on your own.
Yeah.
But, all right,
then
guys.
You're getting some brutality right there. So.
All right, that's going to wrap it up for us. We'll see you next time. Take care, everybody. Have a great rest of your week. I'll see you Friday night to celebrate the weekend. Hey, I hope you guys had a great 4th, by the way.
Yeah.
It was a windy day again here, but hope you all had a safe and wonderful 4th and were able to get together with people you love.
And those are the people that live in America, of course, or at least the Americans.
Yeah. Happy Canada Day from the 1st.
Because, you folks over in the UK, well, you know what you can do. Keep listening.
Just keep tuning in. We love you. We love you guys as well. So, all right. We love you all, wherever you're from, around the world. All right. Good night, everybody. That's going to wrap it up. We'll see you next time.
Good night.